famous story of Shmuel HaNovi on Shaul HaMelech. Shmuel HaNovi is mitzaveh Shaul to be machris haMelech, and Shaul does not do the job the way he was prescribed to do. And as a result, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Shmuel to tell Shaul, Korah Hashem es malochis, Yisrael na'alechu nesona l'reach ha'atoiv mimeko, v'gam netzach Yisrael lo yeshakev v'lo yechozev. HaKadosh Baruch Hu took away the malchus from Shaul and gave it over to Dovid, to his son-in-law. Shmuel doesn't see Shaul anymore. Shaul goes up to Beisoy Givas Shaul. Shmuel does not see him anymore. And then there's a fascinating parak, the following parak in Sefer Shmuel Aleph parak to Zion, and we'll say the story fast. Vayomer Hashem l'Shmuel ad Mosai atom is'abel Shaul v'ani me'astiv miloicha l'Yisrael male karnecho shemen v'leich eshlachacho Elisha beisalachmi ki ro'isi bevonov li melech. Stop mourning Shaul. Shaul's era is over. Go to Beis Lechem, from wherever you are, wherever Shmuel HaNovi was sitting at the time, also a Shaila, and go to Beis Lechem and take karnecho shemen, fill up an oil because the Melachim needs Mashiach. V'leich eshlachacho Elisha beisalachmi, go to Yishai's house, there in Yishai's house, ki ro'isi bebonov li melech. I'm not telling you who it is, but I'm just telling you, go there to pick up a king from the sons of Yishai. Shmuel eich elech v'shom hashol v'hargani is still in the tkufa of in between. More shteitach segeven liyotza tivacha ba'ilam. There was still a tkufa where Dovid did not become a melech and Shaul is still in dimdumei chama. Vayomer Hashem eglas boker tikach biyodecha v'amart lizboyach laHashem bosi. Melad kachim nishtokin shum problem. Take eglas boker and be zoiveach there. V'korosa leYishai bazovach. Call Yishai to be with you in the zevach. V'anoichi oidiacho es asher ta'aser moshachta li es asher oimar elecho. Vayomer vayah Shmuel asher diber Hashem vayomer beslechem vayechad l'zikni ha'ir likrosa vayomer sholo bayecha sargastin shtetl. Shmuel HaNovi kommt rein in Beis Lechem, the guest in town. Vayomer Sholim lizboyach laHashem bosi iskatzu bosim iti bazovach vayikadesh es Yishai ve'ezbono vayikro lehem lazovach. Okay, so Yishai brings his 7 sons. He had 7 sons. We'll see soon if he has 7 or maybe he has 8. And he has 2 daughters. And he tells them to bring them all to Zovach, to eat together with them the feast that Shmuel is sacrificing to Hashem. Vayibevoyom, vayares Eliov, vayomer ach neged Hashem meshichoi. This is the guy. Walked in, was a tall, good-looking man. He says, this is the guy, this is the Mashiach Hashem. Vayomer Hashem el Shmuel al tabeit el mareu vel gvoi hakoimosoi ki meisitiu ki lo yasher yire odom ki odom yire la'inayim v'Hashem yire la'levov. Good looking is not a credential in picking up the next Melech Yisrael. So you think he's good looking, he's tall, gvoi maheres, v'na heiche, wie heiche er gewinnt steht in Medrash Yalkut Shmuel. He was around 6'4", according to Chaim Kanievsky's measurements. Okay? He says, don't. Vayikra el Avinodav. Yishai calls the next son of Avinodav. He's also good looking. Vayavireu lifnei Shmuel, vayomer gam bazel lebocher Hashem. Vayaver Yishai sham, vayomer gam bazel lebocher Hashem. Vayaver Yishai shivas bonov lifnei Shmuel. He goes one after the other. Everybody passes through the security check, and each and every one gets a negative answer. No, you are not the one. Vayomer Shmuel Elishai hasamu aneorim. Is that it? Is there anybody else in town? Vayomer oid shoar hakoten v'ine roye batzoin. Vayomer Shmuel Elisha shilcha v'kochenu ki loy nosoiv ad boyoy po. It's a kleine ingel dort in Feld. Vayishlach vayavienu v'hu admoini he was a redhead, a gingy. Im יפה עיניים וטוב רואי. ויאמר השם, קום משוחהו, כי זהו. ויקח שמואל לקרן השם, וימשל עושה בקבע תצלח, רוח השם אל דוד, מהיום ההוא ואמר לו, ויקום שמואל וילך הרמוס. This chapter, this parak, is a very, I would say, is a very uncommon phenomenon. Kumtarai Shmuel HaNovi. Shmuel HaNovi was a Novi. It's no monkey business. He's a Novi. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him, go to Yishai's house. In the house, one of the children is ready to be the next Melech Yisrael. He comes, he says, please line up all your children. And Yishai brings 7 children, although he has an 8th one. HaKotten. We'll soon see how old was this cotton. Okay? Shall I tell you? 28 years of age. Okay? So Yana Kleiner Gingy, he is Basada, he's not there. And he asks him, Atamu on the Orim, is that all? So it doesn't say some kind of a gap or some kind of a void. There is a discrepancy. The Medrash says, you look at the Medrash in the Yalkut, he asks him, Atamu, Vayoyma Eglav Yishai Tamu. Yes, indeed, that's it. I'm not stupid. You told me HaKadosh Baruch Hu asked to bring by Zevach all my children. I brought all of them. I'm not going to go ahead. Bei uns, es labot kefek mazon, für uns genug 3 Mal. We enough. 3 times, we know already. I don't have to have, you told me to bring all of them. Who is Yishai? Yishai is Rosh HaSanhedrin. Yishai steht in Gmorah, einer von den 4 Menschen, שמייסו בעת יוי של נחש. Yusuf Mekabla HaTorah, und in Gmorah in Brochus Nunche steht, as Yishai was Yoitze B'Uchlusa V'Kamo Uchlusa Shishim Riboy. He had 600,000 Talmidim. Rosh HaSanhedrin, who died, only 4 people in the history of Klal Yisrael died b'shel Etya Shel Nachash. So we're not talking about a guy who's trying to pull off a fast one. Talking about Yishai, Rosh HaSanhedrin, a tzaddik, a gadol. He has a yeshiva of 600,000 Talmidim, and he has Shmuel HaNovi. Shechina b'tameres b'tagoshes, bring all your children, and he asks him, Atamu HaNorim, and he answers him in Yalkut, Tamu. Omar Shmuel Yishai, Hashem Omar Meshichi Beveisoi Ve'at Omar Tamu. Because Baruch Hu tells me, Mashiach, no, one second. And really, in the retrospect, say, don't nochak leine Gingy. He's there in the backfield. Call him over. Game over. He's Dovid Melech Yisrael Chavika. So tonight, maybe we'll try to give an answer to this fascinating phenomenon. So one of the questions my grandfather asked me when I was a little child, wie viel deures is do von Avrom Avinu bis Dovid HaMelech? Of course I didn't know. I was 7 years old. But he rattled it off. Avrom, Yitzchok, Yaakov, Yehuda. Yehuda has 2 sons, Peretz and Zerach. Peretz has a son, Chetzroin, who has a son, Rom, who has a son, Aminodov, who has a son, Nachshon. Nachshon ben Aminodov, Alavesa, from Pesach, for the story, for the children. You come back, jump to the water. Nachshon ben Aminodov had 4 Kinder. Also steht in Sugyas HaGemorim, Baba Basra of Tzadik Aleph Omudam. Elimelech. Mr. Elimelech, who we're going to read about him in the Megillas Rus. Avi Noemi, the father of Noemi, his wife, he married his niece. Uncle Toiv, who is called Toiv, but he's known a.k.a. in the Megillah as Pliny Almighty. And Salmoin Avi Boyaz, who is called Salmoin in Divrei Yomim and Megillas Rus, he interchanges if he's called Salmo or Salmoin, but it's the same person. So let's move again. Nachshon ben Aminodov has 4 children, and for the move away from Elimelech, go a second to his younger brother. He was the youngest, Salmon, and he's the father of Boyaz, who's married Rus, who has a son, Oved, who has a son, Yishai, who has a son, Dovid. It says 14th generation, very clear and simple. Story of the Megillah is, Elimelech goes down, B'shas Harov, his wife, he goes, he was Nenash because he went out from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz. Few shot him in the Gemara, but he's going out from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz. He has 2 sons, Machlin and Kilian. One marries Orpah, and one marries Rus. Rus is a daughter / granddaughter / great-granddaughter. Totally 3 midrashim. וכמבואר הסתירס בסוגיה הגמורה בנוזר דף למד, תייסס דורטן, Gemara steht Bitoy shel Eglon Melech Moed. But it doesn't make a difference. She's a daughter. It doesn't sting. If you look at the historical biography, she can't be a daughter of Eglon Melech Moed. So she's a granddaughter or great granddaughter, according to Teisus Dodov na Aganze Shtikel. But she is marrying to who? In the Megillah state, Teisus in Ksubis Dav Zayin al Bei state that Ruth was married to Machlin and Kilian. She was married to both. She was an almana from both. One brother died, she married the other. And now she's a young woman. Question how young she was. Not so simple also. Steers in the drushim. And she's sahav. She's available for marriage. At those days, Yom Marishayim, Shtein Ramban in Parshas Vayeshev, there used to be a minhag to marry your kroiva within the family as a concept of yibum. As I state in Ramban, Tamar is marrying Yehuda, who is her father-in-law, because she was a wife, Oinon, both of them. He didn't give it to Sheila, but he marries her as a Yibum, Hakim. So, a vote for Yibum. Ganz arichas in Ramban in Sefer Bereshis, in Parshas Vayeshev. So she's available right now to remarry. So in the sugya of Yibum, there's halacha korev koidem. You give a right of first refusal to the one who's closest blood relative to the almana who is available for marriage. Who is the right of first refusal? So if we go in the generation, Machlon Bekil, the father is Elimelech. Avi Noemi is dead a long time ago. Salmon Avi Boyaz is dead. And the only one from the generations of the sons of Nachshon ben Aminadov is really Uncle Pliny Almain. So he is the one to marry her first refusal. If we move away from the generation, we go a generation further. Boyaz, who's the son of Salmon, he's a first cousin to her husband, Machlin / Kilyan. He was a first cousin of her husband, whereby Uncle Pliny Almaini / Toiv is an uncle of her late husband's Machlin and Kilyan. So the uncle should have a right of first refusal. That's what's going on in the Megillah. When you fall schloffen in the free, that's what's going on in the Megillah. They come to the uncle. They ask him, go ahead and marry her. I don't want. Why? Says Rashi, Pen efgoim bezari, nachalosi min zari, kemoy nachalos Hashem bonim. Rashi brings the pasuk, v'tol be'amoyini v'lo yamoyini. He made a mistake. He thought, it says, lo yamoyini v'chal Hashem, she is egloim melech moyov, so she's moyavis, rusa moyvia. And if there is no halacha of amoyini v'lo yamoyinis, so she's also lo bekol, doesn't want to marry her. Medrash state, harishayim lo meisu. Why did my two nephews die? They were in Makpid, they took Moavias. So I'm going to be the next one? Don't want. But he doesn't say I don't want because I'm afraid I'm going to die. He says, Pen Ashri says Nachalosi, Pen Ef Goim Bezari, because I'm going to create a genetic mutation whereby my Kindalach, Einiklach are going to be clean and Wayavinlach. Not interested. I'm passing on it. Go to Boyaz. We know that all Chayvelavim, Moyavi, Amoini, Adoini, Mitzri, Shtuki, Nisnosin, all the Chayvelavim is a dual, is double Aveira. Number one, you're not on the Meir Chayvelavim. We don't pass because the Kiddushin ain't Toif Sim Chayvelavim. Kiddushin is Toif Sim Chayvelavim. Or Bakupon HaYisur Yidor, there's an Yisur to be Bam Chayvelavim. The Mutorim Zebezeh, some of them are Mutor Zebezeh. But a regular Yisrael is also to marry an Esina, and Mamzeres, a Mitzris till Mitzri Shlishi. Amoini, if Amoini, Vamoinis, Amoini, Vamoinis is no problem. Adumis, you're not allowed to marry. Furthermore, if you do marry Adumis, then the halacha is that the children become Klein Adoimim. If you marry Amoinis and there is no halacha of Amoinis, the kids will become. If that's true that he was Toya and he didn't know these halacha of Amoinis, so why is he saying to Rutzim, my kinder, how do you know you're going to have children? Forget about it. The reason why you're not allowed to marry her because it's Chayvelavim, you're not allowed to marry Chayvelavim. What do you have to come to the Rutzim? Omar, Osu, I don't want, Lo Yuchal Higo, Ki Amaynisi, Fatik. I'll say, Frek the Marshal, Zog the Marshal, I'm ready to go. But Emes, every Chayvelavim, the Gemara in Yevom is Nafkafel and Bei State, the Gemara is Almonu, the Kohen Gadol, there is no din Yibum. The Doiros HaRishayim State in Ramban, there was a mitzvah Yibum Bashar Kravim. And every Chayvelavim should be theoretically halacha that Esse deichel leisase. Almon el kohen gol kushe v'chalus. So the Gemara in Yevom is nafkuchu and base. Why don't you have esse deichel the Gemara? Because the esse is no beer rishayna. And beer shnia, you don't have esse. And gazrino beer shnia. Beer rishayna atu beer shnia. Because since this next beer you don't have a heter anymore, there's no esse deichel leisase. Zog the Marsho v'kanire shebeoiso eis adayin legozru beer rishayna atu beer shnia. This Gzeira was post Boaz era, so Mimele, he himself could marry her. Why? Because even if he doesn't darshan halacha v'ameinu v'la'ameinis, and the chayv v'lavim sheboy rota mitzvah sesa from yibum, this fictitious, this deiros or rishonim dike yibum, and there'll be halacha v'esa dechalei sasa. Aber klappe de kinder from deswegen, you know, at the end of the day, even if you marry her, you have a heter v'esa dechalei sasa, you are creating this genetic mutation of and that he didn't want. And everybody attacks the Marashom Imonofshach. If you have a halacha of Esadei Chalesas and you have a mitzvah sasei, so what's the heter? Because you can have Klei Na'amayim Lach. The mitzvah sasei, fatik. Every Esadei Chalesas, you have a mitzvah. Why is in the world the fact that you may create a genetic mutation will be alleviate you from the obligation that you have because of the mitzvah sasei from Yibum, which is the mitzvah sasei of Yibum. As I flag in all the mashal. Comes again the Brisker and says as follows. Right? So you oiker the Gzeres Atoya b'Sheva al Taisa, but you have a mitzvah sasei. You have a mitzvah sasei, which is a din every Eser Deichel Leisas. Every Eser Deichel Leisas says a Sheva al Taisa. Don't be the kind of Eser, and you're not going to be able to Deichel the Leisas. Auf dem steht, mit darf machen a mitzvah sasei. Das ist doch the din for the... Oh, okay. The you know, I don't want to deviate because I want to be maspik something, and I was Michael on expiration time. All right. So there is a phenomenal Gemara in Yevom Daf Yevamim base. The Gemara says, or when the Ma'aser Dovid and Goliath happened, and Dovid is Kleine Gingi is hit him with a stone. This Plishti, the Goliath Plishti was a giant. So Shaul asked, this is before Shaul is excommunicated, a little bit before, not too much, 2 months before the Ma'aser happened, before haMelech, that Shaul was hated. But Dovid is already around, a little kid, and he says, who is this kid? Who is this kid? Who is this kid? Everybody was chickening out from Shaul, from Goliath Plishti, comes again, Engel, Vavta, Steindl, talking Goliath Plishti. Who is this child? So he tells him, Kumtz again, Doeg Adoimi was a troublemaker throughout history. Anybody that knows, there were 2 people together. One of them was Doeg Adoimi. It was Meis Bechatzi Yomo, that's Doeg Adoimi. Doeg Adoimi, Kumtz again in London. And Avner ben Ner, who was the Sar Hatzovo in the army of Dovid. There were the 2 Lomdim. One of them was a troublemaker, one was trying to alleviate the trouble. Comes again, it says, you guys have a super new guy, a new kid on the block, a new king coming up. Is that right? Avner, Tonino, we learned mitzvahs. If you make such a drosha that when the Torah says it means to exclude nekeva, mitzvahs, mamzel mamzeres. Omalei mumzar ksiv. Mumzar doesn't make a difference. Bekitzer, the Gemara goes back and forth. He says, so there's no reason to be excommunicated in the caves. No, the women should have bestowed their hospitality towards women and men towards men. Ishtik. You don't know the halacha, go ask the Besmedrash. He went into the Besmedrash. Now, ich darf sich vorstellen, wie sie ausgesehen der Besmedrash von Dovid haMelech, von Shaul haMelech, aber sie gesetzen dort in der Größe Eilung von Talmidei Chacham. They asked him, what's the story? What's the fate of this young man? Doy comes and asks all these questions. Ishtiku. They were quiet. Bolach Roselle. Yerushalayim Yido Ayid Vaseis Kletzkin. I don't know if people know here. But Kletzkin is the guy who was in charge of the Tzetlach. You know, if somebody dies, before the Chevra Kadisha comes, the Tzetlach up, the microphones are around. Bolach was Mishigiru from Kletzkin. Go ahead, be Machriz. There, Dovid was Mivil Machrifa Kenig is not Roy Lovabeko. Miad Vamoso Ben Yeser. Yeser was the husband of Avigail, who was the sister of Dovid. Aplomenik from Dovid, Melamed Shechogar Charboy Shishmuel, Veomar Kol Misheine Shemei Aloch Azu, Yidoka Mecherv. Kach Mekubani Beistim Shel Shmuel Aramosi, Amaynu Ramaynu Smadlo Me'amas. 2 minutes later, Dovid is crowned. What's happening here? Gagen Bayem, Badet Talmud Chol, Bayen Talmud Chol, Gagen Besmedrish, Yishvigen. Comes a guy, he pulls out a knife. These days is very modern. You pull out a knife, you say, Allah Akbar, Aleidik. What was this chayv? Zog the Biskarov as follows. Beautiful form. The emissaries we're holding by Matan Torah. Torah has 2 halakim. You have Torah Shebiksav, which was given to Moshe, and you have Torah Shebal Peh. Torah Shebal Peh is divided to 2 different elements. Azevis Imevur and Rambam Ba'arucho and Perek Aleph through Perek Hey Milchos Mamrim, the last volume in the Rambam. Torah Shebal Peh, which is called Hamitzvah, is mechulak to 2 halakim. Number 1 is halacha l'Moshe Messina, which is machlekes the Rambam said. You're going how many halacha l'Moshe Messina? Anywhere between 35 to 3,800 halacha l'Moshe Messina that there were there, which were miskabel midor l'dor 42 generations from one to another passed on. There's another chelik of Torah Shebal Peh, which is Yudgimel Midah Shater and Dreshes Ben, which is every morning by davening, kal v'chem b'binyanav, gzeir shov v'klal v'partuklah, etc., etc. What's the difference? Halacha l'Moshe Messina is given as is, ketzurosa, can't be tampered, can't be modified. The Yud Gimel Midas Shater Nidreshes Bayam is Kodesh Baruch Hu gave Yud Gimel Midas Gesetz in every generation the Chacham Sheboi Sado Umeakoiches Loshan Aram Nachdor Mishapir Shamish Nizroi Umeakoiches Anim Shokas Lev. They take those protein and they dash Azei Danin Kal V'Choim Smuchin not Smuchin Klal Uprat Zerashova Ribui Miutu Ribui. What's the difference between the 2 elements, the both Torah Shebal Peh? What's the chiluk? The Mazeh. By halacha, which is learned from Yud Gimel Shater and Dreshes Bayim, the Beis Din comes and constitutes halacha kapachayim. Then comes a generation later another Beis Din. So the halacha is in Beis Din yochel levatel divra Beis Din chaver elam ken gadol b'chochma b'minyan. But if it's gadol b'chochma b'minyan, harei she'omdu Beis Din b'torah she'achem lo shenaramba v'rou tam u'svor v'tzoyer chashor lilmoid v'lifroik v'lahakshes, and they took it apart. So subject to the halachas of ein Beis Din yochel levatel divra chaver, they can uproot the previous Beis Din. Divrei kabbalah b'hem achleikas lo'elam. But something which you have a kasha on a what's his name? Alocha b'shir Kenny's. Chavasir schreibt chayvekayim chosid nezek tzchoyres mishloksach. The Gemara in case on a regular. How could it be? It's divrei alocha b'hem achleikas lo'elam. Let's put it on this side. Zog the Briskerov. The halacha was there. The question, the dilemma that the doyeg, that the goyel, the uncle Pliny Almani and Boyaz had, is that the uncle thought that the halacha of Yud Gimel Midas Shater and Nidreshes Bayam Der Din Amoy V'Lo Amoynis is one of the halachas which is nidrash, and he had a shtickle support. Boyaz Ol Ashar steht in Targum, steht in more in Sugyas Dav Zayin on the base to Darsham LeMidrash LeFarsam halacha. For number what's in Mefarsam the halacha? Feist, it's one of the halachas which is from Yud Gimel Midas Shater and Nidreshes Bayam. Doesn't say V'lo Yoda. Rashi says Veto be'amoyin v'lo amoyin. He made a mistake. He misinterpreted which branch of Torah Shebal Peh this derives from. So he comes along and says like this: me personally, right now, to marry Ruth, I don't have any problem. Why? Because the Gedarshet Boyaz was standing there, Darshet Aloch Amoyin v'lo amoyin. But it is only Yud Gimel Shater and Dreshes Bayam. V'asad Zayin Ibamon. He was through his prediction, through his periscope, he looked in time tunnels, was het zijn 100 jaar herum, het komt naar tweede Beis Din, Iber Chochma, het geeft maar drehen met de vingers, el maat mamze wil mamzeres, el maat mitzvah wil mitzvahs. Is was het zijn, klappe me, I'm marrying her right now, I have no problem. There is no problem. Not like the Marshal says, there's no problem, because right now the halacha is neither shamoyin v'lo amoynis. But if this halacha ever down the road will be uprooted because mitadrei mit finger as if give him madrega adoimi, then they're going to make my kleine ediklach, Dovid haMelech, they're going to start making him to a amayni v'le amaynis. Don't want it. Boyas knew it's halacha l'moshe misin, as if she steht in Rambam Perek Yudches Meisur Rebbe halacha l'moshe misin amayni v'le amaynis. Halacha l'moshe misin that can kommen von heit bis übermorgen. Kach mekublani, the mistake that they made throughout the entire Besmedrash of Dovid haMelech, mit Doyeg, mit Avne Beneh, they missed the ball. They thought it was a kasha, we can't upschlagen. Ich hab ein grober Finger. Ich bin Gott und meine Bechochme bebinyen. Amosa bin Yeser, Kach mekublani, me Beisdina, shel Shmuel, Amosi steht in Rambam, es nicht meine Avot, es steht in Smag, beferisch, ve'alocha l'moshe misina, amoyne v'le'amoyne. Halacha l'moshe, was ta kasha? Vav bizlei l'aseder, put it together with the notes. But it's not going to uproot the halacha of amayne v'le'amayne. Trotz them that you have a good or a good kasha elo me'ato mamzer v'lemamzer. At kan divrei biskaro. The question, however, is it's puzzling. Boaz is sitting there. Boaz kovash esitzre roish Sanhedrin. Boaz is sitting there, and obviously, when you kach mekublan bezdin sheshmul aramos, the Torah goes down generation after generation, generation after generation. So apparently, there is definitely some kind of a Messiah. Where is Shmuel Aramos get it from? You heard it from his Rebbe. So, who comes along if it is the halacha l'Moshe Misinai? Where did it get cut off that they coming right now to drei me the finger? That's the question which is being asked. Was asked by Reb Velvel Chechik. We asked it to Moshe Mordechai Schlusinger and mihakt. I would like to suggest the following. I told Reb Chaim Kayevsky many years ago, and I got a nod, some kind of approval. I would like to say as follows. I don't have time to be meirich, but I got news for you. B'shor Moshe Rabbeinu died steht more and more after Zayin Amud Aleph. B'shor Moshe Rabbeinu, b'shor niftar Moshe legan Eden, Moir Dikaloshe. Omar Yeshua, Shal Klum, Yesh Beyot Chosfekes, Omar Yeshua. You are writing about me, Mishosam Yeshua, Benu Narli, Omish Mitoich Ohel. Is anything, nothing. Miyad, Yus Goyrem, Moshe Rabbeinu Tev Chalish Sadas, Venishtak Huimenu. How many? Shlosh Mois Alochas, Shvam Mois Kavachoyme, Bebasnis Etana, Shlosh Alochim Alochas. Ve'av Pichen Echziren Oisniel Ben Kenaz Mitoich Pilpula, and as a gift he got to marry Achso Bas Kolev, Kedemavur Be'aruchu Besuges Agmor Betmor Daf Zayin Amud Aleph. I would like to know, Zokt Rashi, and I would read the Loshen Rashi, Steht in Rashi, that who is the one Venishtakhu Mimenu MiYeshua Binun Ba'avoin Shegoram Lahachlish Daito Shel Moshe Shenitztayr Moshe Al Yeshua Be'atzma Shel Godel K'Moshe. So Yeshua is getting a punishment. Now let's go to the scripts. Let's go to Mesilas HaTorah. Steht in Rambam Nakdom Tiyarach HaZok, and this is Erev Shavuos, this is something you should be known. Afa b'shelo nichta b'Torah shebalpel limda Moshe Rabbeinu kulu bebeis din lo shivim zkenim. Ve'elozar uPinchas v'Yehoshua shloshtom kiblu miMoshe. The three channels that people are accepting from Moshe: Elozar, Pinchas, and Yeshua. ולيשוע שהוא תלמידה של מוישה מוסר תורה שבעל פה וציוו עליו וכן ישוע כל יום חייב לא מד על פה וזקנים רבים קיבלו בישוע וקיבל אלי מן הזקנים ומפנחס ושמואל קיבל מאלי בייס דין. So I would like to know, first of all, I got news for you. If you learn Tanach, you'll know that Pinchas did not live with Klal Yisrael. He lived in Givat Pinchas, which was away because of the Ma'aseh from Yiftach. He had to go. He was not together with Gans Klal Yisrael. Pinchas, right, is Kibel Eli Minaz Kein. Moshe gave it to Yeshua, Elozar, and Pinchas. Okay, and then to Yeshua's Metzaveh, Yeshua gave it to the Zkenim, and Zkenim Rabim Kibel me Yeshua. V'kibel Eli has two channels. He learned Torah 2, channel 1 and channel 2. Minaz Kenim and Pinchas. So the Zkenim is Mekabel via Yeshua channel. But he's also Mekabel from Pinchas, who lives Me'achle Harorei Choshech. question why he didn't come. He did come. He wasn't there. And Eli is mekabel from Pinchas and from the Skein. And Shmuel is mekabel from Pinchas, from Eli. So it comes out, theoretically, Zog the Briskerov, that all these halachas that Shachachum B'chozer V'yizdum, those the halachas that were forgotten by Yoshua. And those halachas were reconstituted, which later on Zog the Briskerov, although they look exactly the same halachas, but it being that it's Mitoich Pulpuloi, the validity of those halachas is only Yud Gimel Midas, resulting in that those halachas could be uprooted later. If it was the same halacha, far the shikha, so the halacha of halacha mishmisim, which can be uprooted. But if it is indeed after the rejuvenation, the reconstitution, it belongs the halacha of Mitoich Pulpuloi, it belongs to Gimel Midas Shater and Dreshes. Right, 100%. Shmuel Aramasi had his channel too. And he was mekabel kach mekublaim bisdidish Shmuel Aramasi amaynu v'amaynis ich bin amaynu v'amaynis. I'm telling you right now that this is halacha mishua mekabel. The Andre Yeshua ben Nun forgot. He got a punishment. And those halachas were reconstituted. Kenu were mekabel only from Yoshua. They got it already. Al Sosniel ben Knas reconstitution with the Goyen state in Safra Tznius that Yeshua helped out Osniel ben Knas to bring it back. But it doesn't change the status. It is in essence Yud Gimel Midas Shater and Dreshes. So we have over here channel 2. And channel 2 is Shemele. We kach mekublan bisdin shel Shmuel Aramasi. Shmuel Aramasi is halacha v'shimsila state in the Rambam. Shemele os takashe. Blind be the kashe. So this is what I wanted to suggest once upon a time. And therefore, you could have two people sitting in a room. One was mekabel the Torah through a shikha, with reconstitution, and this very same halacha, which looks the same, smells the same, in essence, it is the same, but it is Yud Gimel Midas Shater and Dresh because nishtakach v'chozer v'yizdum, and the other one, which was never nishtakach, blind halacha l'meshimsina hostakashe, blind midakashe. I want to tell you a story. You'll hear the story and you'll push it, not believe. I wrote it on my telephone because I didn't have papers, I didn't have a printer. Steht a Yalkut. Steht a Yalkut. Yishai, given a frume. Somebody came to Yishai after having 10 children. 10? He had 7 plus 1 plus 2 girls. Yishai at that time was 68 or 69. Oh, 68 and a half. Okay, let's make it short. And he told him, Veistoch, you know your story with, you know that Boaz, Dain Zayde Boaz, told Yishai, Yishai, the son of Oidezer, died in the very same night he married Ruth. This whole Maise, he given one night Maise. 2 days before Boaz loses his wife, 2 days later he marries Ruth. The next morning, Ois, gestorben. She's pregnant, and Dovid HaMelech kommt raus from their pregnancy. So he comes over to tell him, he says, why did the Kodesh Baruch Hu kill Boaz? You know what? Uncle pointed out when he was born. As I state the Medrash. So do I say for Teras HaMincha, for Rabbi Yankiv Skili, was ich wenn der Talmud HaRashba, bringt der Yalkut HaMechiri, was steht dort in der Meise dort. He says, you know what? You are Armeni. There's no such a thing, Armeni, but Armenis. Scared him. He was a tzaddik afuma. He says, "The weiß was du bist da, mein Kerstisch. Gamal, nu finish. You are mine. Osam Michoel." Boaz went over to his wife, and he says, "My entire Ishai went over to his wife. He says, my entire altichke, full due courtesy, and there is a Isser because his Chayvelam is not allowed to live with her. From Heint on." 2 years later, 2.5 years later, somebody comes over to him and tells him, Hashem said, sorry, you still got to have more kids. He went over to the Shifcha of his wife, Shifcha Knainis. He said, I want to have a chat with you. It's a Yalkut which is brought down by the Rashba. He said to her, you know what? I want to have more children. So I'm going to give you a get shichur al tnai. If the halacha is amoini ve'amoinis, in other words, there's no exclusion of amoinis, and grandpa Boyaz who made a mistake, and ich ben amoini, also Horav Michoel, so your star shichur is null and void. And amoini, chayvelavim is mutar b'shivcha, she has a yisur leisi akdeisha, so you bleibe b'shivcha, and I can live with you. If the halacha is, ich weiß nicht, amoini, v'le amoini is, am knege bentos in tshuve. If the halacha is amoini, v'le amoini is, so then I'm a belchayim. So then I can be Baal you because I'm the Yisuf L'Yeh Kodesh, L'Yeh Kodesh, you're not allowed to marry a Shivcha. So the Shichur is Cham. So we're going to meet together tonight in the Butkale outside in the hut. Here's the get. He gave her the get and he said, we're going to live tonight. Ich will om mehr Kinder. She heard the Maise. She went over to Mrs. Yishai. Anybody in town knows what's the name of Mrs. Yishai? There's a price on the exit. If somebody could tell me what's the name of the mother of Dovid HaMelech. It's not possible. In any event, they went over to Mrs. Yishai, and she says, I think your husband is a little off. Amashu. She tells her the story. And she says, my husband haven't been with me for 3 years because of this fruitcake. Go ahead. She says, no, I'm not doing that. Take my clothes. She took off her clothes. She says, you go instead of me. He did not know the difference between his wife and the Shivcha. She was worried about God of the Shivcha. 3 months later, she's pregnant with Dovid. Kumt Eliyav and Avinadav. And they come over to the father and said, the mama Mazadagiven, we know that you excommunicated, you don't live together. Shh, sei still. They're going to say, you mamzeyim lach also. Be quiet. Says Yishai, let's keep him at home. Muzar hoisi le'echai v'nochri le'beisimi zog Dovid HaMelech in Tilim Samachtes. I was muzar. I was excommunicated. Push him off to the field. Don't let him into the house. He's not one of ours. Mommy head. Unochdem comes again. 28 years later. For 28 years, this kid is excommunicated. Comes again. Shmuel Hanavi sagt, Tamu an Orim, Tamu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu oime Meshicha b'Beisisha v'ata oime Tamu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says Meshicha b'Beisisha. How could you say Tamu? The coin dropped. Damals hat verstanden Yishai die ganze Meise, aber be'emes ist sein eigener Sohn als ein Sohn. Dovid Melech Yisrael chai v'kayom. We learn, we weiß gar nicht. You look at the Gemara at the end of our Psachim. Steht die Gemara, Omar Rab Shmuel, Barachman, Omar Rab Yonasan, Oitcho ki nisani Omar Dovid. Even moasu haboinim oisu levoishpina Omar Yishai. Zog der Rashbo. Even moasu haboinim. The parents were Moyes. The father, Yishai, was Moyes. The ganze Hallel was from gesagt eint. Oitcho ki inisani Omar Dovid. He said it at that moment where they got together, all of them together. Even Moasu Abaynim, the parents, Hoysa Levishpina Vet Melech Yisrael Omar Yishai. Me'es Hashem Hoysa Zois Oblu Echov. All the kids which were in and the cahoots of telling the father, Muzar Yisrael Echai. Ze Hayoim also Hashem Nagil Vet Omar Shmuel. So this gathers Gemara. Omar Shmuel, Omar Dosav Hayu. This is all happening in Shmuel Aleph Perek to Zion while Shmuel is coming to visit and to crown and to handpick Dovid to become a Melech Yisrael. We have another minute and a half. Another minute and a half. Schwere Zeiten. You know, it's very hard times. Ganze Meise Miron versteht nicht. Der was redt weiß, der was weiß redt nicht und der was redt weiß nicht. And now was tut sich more the Kazakh, like Eretz Yisrael is on the fire, and people are sitting and asking. I think that Samuel the Kazakh in Rabbi Rucham the Mashgiach sagt, Oitcho ki nisoni v'atilu lishua. Normal, you take a person, you ask him, you know, you had a Vild Sorah, he makes a Suda Seidor, and he walked out. He said, the tzoro is tzoro, and then you have the yeshua. But you ask the person, would you, if I had to reconstitute